Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We're glad you're here. In this month's video, we're going to share all about our September, where we were, what we thought about it, what we did, and how much we spent. We hope you watch the whole video.
We target spending about $4,000 a month, and we've done okay this year. We'll give you an update at the end on how well we've done or what kind of progress we've made this month. And with that, let's get going.
Yeah, so first, we're going to have a couple little disclaimers. This is everything that we've spent, but we're taking out things we've spent on our kids out of the mix, as well as our business. So you'll see every other penny that we're spending, and we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of spending in different categories. We don't talk about every single thing that we bought, every single baguette we purchased, but we kind of pull out some of the major ones, but the totals and what we spent is correct. So if it doesn't add up exactly, that's why we're not going to share every penny that we spent, break it down.
So where were we in September?
Okay, so September, we started the month with a cruise, and we had been on that cruise for a total of 30 days. We have an entire video dedicated to the cruise, and that will be coming out in the next few days. It's a whole hour long, all about being on a cruise ship, living on a cruise ship for 30 straight days. So look for that on our YouTube channel. And so we were on the cruise in Europe until September the 11th. We got off the cruise, went into Rome for one day only. We did not even have 24 hours in that glorious city. And then we flew to the United States for the first time since April. And we had a house sit in Arlington, Virginia, which is really just right over the Potomac from Washington, D.C. So extremely close in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And we did a house sit for viewers who are now friends. And so we'll get, that's kind of like the overview. And where we are now.
We are in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, in Guanajuato. So Guanajuato, I always get it wrong. So
you had it right the first time.
Did I have it right? Okay, so there you go. I get it wrong every time. So here we are in Mexico. But so also just to quickly mention, so our flight back to DC was direct, which was fantastic, and we had no problems with our bags. And so we had heard all summer long about issues that people were having, and luckily we had no issues. So that was a smooth sailing trip across the Atlantic.
Yes, and so what was really nice about our DC sit is that it was close to my parents, and that was a big reason why we took it on. And what was extra nice is that the dates were planned around our schedule, which is like the holy grail of house sitting. So we had this one fantastic dog, Lizzie, who was just easy and lovely. We had done 2 videos in their home, our last 2 videos, and yeah, it was, we were in this amazing area for I don't know, like grocery shopping and the gym, and you'll see some of these things come up in our spending, but we were in like near the metro, near the movie theater, 5-10 minutes from everything.
We also had access to their car, which we didn't use very much, but it was phenomenal to have access to that. We did do some running around. We went to Costco and got me some new glasses and things we'll talk about in a bit. But the net of it is we really love this location in Virginia. We were excited about everything about it. Was just fantastic. So
this might even be Arlington, Virginia. While it's very expensive, it could be a place where we spend some significant time in the future during the peak months of weather. Yeah, so not the dead of summer or the dead of winter, but like the nice shoulder seasons, spring and fall are glorious there.
So some other observations about just coming back to the States from our time in Europe. So we were last in the States in April. So when we came back, it was so this inflation thing that we're all hearing about, we saw it like in our face, like real time. So it was definitely different. So when we left the States, we were in Florida. So that also might be sort of a part of the reason the numbers are so different when we go to the grocery store. So I had a really hankering for some Fritos of all things. And so when I went to the grocery store looking for Fritos, a bag of Fritos in DC, and we looked at 2 different places, was about $6. I'm used to, at least I thought that a bag of Fritos might cost $2. So I was really shocked by the pricing. Everything seemed to be this way, including restaurants, and just so the inflation is very real. And we saw that happening for us, especially in DC.
We were in a very high cost of living area. So that certainly had an effect. We were only 5 minutes from a Whole Foods. We didn't shop there once. We met a friend there one time, but other than that, we weren't doing our shopping at Whole Foods. There was a Trader Joe's 10 minutes away. So we did try to kind of keep it reined in, and you'll see we spent quite a bit on food and dining this month. So and so we are in San Miguel de Allende now on a house sit. This is our 5th time to this beautiful city, our 3rd time at this exact house sit. You may see we have one of the dogs is here. This is Tia, and then we have another one. She's a lap dog. And then there's another one behind us lounging on the couch.
Also a lap dog, just not
Yeah,
mine.
two cute little Malteses. So we're here for 7 weeks in this home, which is a really nice long stay. And I think we had the past 2 months have been absolutely, since we got on that cruise ship with no internet we had a month with, we had just limited internet with our phone plan. So we didn't have online Wi-Fi. So we had a month on the cruise ship, then we had a month in the United States. We're going to talk about half of that trip in our October numbers, but we were like running for basically 2 months. And so here I knew when we were here last year for, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks, that it was a nice idea to come and at the end of the year, have like a restorative, like longer stay. And I am very, very happy that it worked out with this house sit so that we could do that, because I was kind of like, oh, I just got to get to San Miguel de Allende because then I can kind of catch up on stuff. This cruise video I had mentioned, we filmed that 3 weeks ago. I needed about 10 hours to edit it, put it up and render it and techie stuff. And I didn't have 10 hours in the past 3 weeks because of complete craziness in the States. So it's nice to be like, and the weather is absolute perfection.
Coming back to the States, something we realize is that we have just a lot of the business of our life. So there are things that we need to do that we can only do when we're in the States. And then additionally, we had a lot of social engagements, as you probably are well aware. Amy schedules us with a million social engagements. So we had engagement after engagement after engagement, and we're trying to rush and get all our stuff. And it's really great to be here and slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, and the orange blossoms are out. I think there's 2 of my favorite scents. One is star jasmine and one is orange blossoms. And I only know of orange blossoms really blooming in the spring, but they're blooming now. And we just come into our private area, our neighborhood, and it's just like you're knocked over by the smell of orange blossoms. The food is beautiful and great here. So we're going to be talking a lot about San Miguel over the next 7 weeks, and we're not even leaving San Miguel after this house sit's done. We're sticking around for another month, just not in this house sit.
So what did we spend?
Category number 1 was our health and personal care, $1,390 or 43.3% of our spending. This is painful. When we're in the United States, we're seeing doctors and just getting a lot of our checkups done. We tried to do a lot of those in our former hometown of Denver, where we ended up in October, but we are trying to not have everything fit into Denver. And our dermatologist 4 months early couldn't get us in, even calling that early for an appointment. So we used my parents' dermatologist, and at least they were nicely vetted. But we went to the dermatologist for an annual skin checkup. It was $740. For those who watch regularly, you may remember Tim had Mohs surgery back in March of this past year. So that was a pretty penny out of pocket. So we wanted just the full health checkup.
Yeah, so let's break that down. That was $370 each. That included an overall skin check. And then the dermatologist took a biopsy from both of us that they charged us $100 and some odd for. This is literally less, 2 minutes maybe worth of activity for $150. We thought that was going to be the all-in price. We got a bill. We're going to be charged for the pathology after the effect.
Yeah.
So
you'll see that in October.
You'll see that all in October. All in all, going to the dermatologist, which I really didn't want to go to in the first place because I knew it was going to be very expensive. It's going to be over $1,000 for the 2 of us just to do a skin check at the dermatologist. Okay. This actually makes me on the verge of angry. I will not be going back to a dermatologist probably in the States ever. And so I am, this is just unreasonable. Our experience in Florida wasn't so bad. It was costly because I had surgery, but the price point was more reasonable. When I say I won't be going back in the States, I won't be going back to this dermatologist in DC because the price point is quite.
And when Tim says he's not getting a checkup, we are, so you've had skin cancer twice, and we are very aware that our health is very important.
Right.
So
I will be going to
you're
a dermatologist, not a dermatologist in DC.
Okay, yes, we are definitely on top of our health and our annual checkups on all sorts of things, including our skin. So I have had my first suspicious thing removed over at my chest here. Teeny tiny. Tim had one on his face, just a couple inches from where his Mohs surgery was. Thankfully, Tim's was completely nothing, and mine was pre-cancer, so it just needs to get frozen off. I'm going to take care of that hopefully here in San Miguel de Allende, where it's a lot cheaper. So so we'll be follow along here for what is going to happen with our medical in San Miguel, because we decided to get most of our medical stuff done here and hope that we have a good quality of care, and we'll be reporting on that. But anyway, that was $740 for our dermatologist. Ouch.
Ouch is right. And then I also got some glasses at Costco. So here are my new glasses. They do it all. So they're progressive. They transition when the light changes. So they're sunglasses. They're just a great deal. I paid $250 for these glasses at Costco. We also bought a Costco membership for $60, which we didn't have. We don't need a Costco membership, but this was when I was looking online at all the different options for glasses. When I was looking for the same configuration of glasses, the cheapest that I could find was going to be $400 or $500 for this configuration. So I figured just to buy the Costco membership, which would have made this, I guess, maybe $310 if you just say that Costco's this. I think we put the Costco $60 into our groceries this month. But
we did get a few things while we were there.
Net, my glasses were roughly $250. So
I think they look so sharp too.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so our health insurance is next. IMG Global, we use the silver plan, and we have an entire video about that. I'll put that up top. That is $205 for the month. Now, the reason why our expenses for our healthcare is so expensive this month, is because we have not only a very high deductible plan, I think it's $5,000 each, but also it doesn't cover pre-existing conditions, which would include Tim's past skin cancer. And also it doesn't cover just generic like checkup kinds of stuff. It's really for the big stuff. So that's actually a very reasonable price for health insurance. But again, it's really just going to include us worldwide for really big stuff.
Catastrophic care is what we look at.
Yeah. So we signed up for that knowing that would make us pay out of pocket for everything. And yeah, so it's just sticker shock when we get to the States and see how much those appointments cost. Okay, next is Soul Cycle. So I have been a gym person since I got out of college. So since like maybe in the early 90s, I got into the gyms, I'm into the classes and the music and all of it. I love it. And what I found is I do not find gyms outside of the US anywhere like the US has. So I took every opportunity while we were in the US to indulge in that. And there's a place called Soul Cycle. It's a chain of extremely expensive spinning bikes in a class. And it's literally like 50 or 60 bikes with an instructor. And each class, if you buy it just a la carte, is $30 to $40 for the class. That's 45 to 60 minutes, which is insanity. So I bought a 14-day new person trial, and that was $99. So I could go as much as, I guess I could go one time a day for 14 days, making that a really good deal. And it was really nice. Now, the weird thing is I'm 54. I think the next oldest person in the entire room was no older than 30. So I was definitely like their grandma, but and I didn't even recognize any of the music. So, but it was still really fun. And I'm going to be joining a gym here in San Miguel, but I've already been to it and I know it's not the same. So I really just loved being at the gym.
So you said what you spent?
Oh, I spent $105. That was $99 for the 2-week trial. And then I had to pay for my cycling shoes. So you had to use their clip-in shoes. Yeah, they gave me one for free. So I paid a couple bucks to rent cycling shoes.
And the last thing in this category was we spent some money at pharmacies. So this is, I think we bought some Pepto-Bismol. We were on the cruise ship, we were sick. And so we bought some stuff in Europe at the pharmacy there. So we bought a variety of different pharmaceuticals while we were in the States that we're not going to have access to or easy access to, we found as we're abroad. So $93 there. So that wraps up that category.
And when we left the States, we are gone for 7 months. So we know that some things that we have wanted pharmaceutical things, we cannot find those. One thing that I cannot find outside the United States is a Q-tip with a paper center. They're all plastic centers. So I only want a Q-tip with a paper center, and we're traveling with like a lot of those. Yeah, so both of us use them every single day. But so we have to stock up on all that kind of stuff, which also makes our baggage a little crazy. Okay, so category number 2 is food, $862. I think this is quite a bit, 26.9%. I think this is quite a bit, given that our first 10 days were on a cruise. We got off on the September 11th in the morning. So 10 days is virtually no money spent on food, but it's $444 in groceries, $418 in restaurants. And I think that's just speaking, we had one day in Rome with excellent pizza, excellent Roman food, excellent gelato, but there's only so much damage you could do on one day in Rome. And all of that was in the Washington, D.C. area.
Yeah, so we thought this number seemed to be shockingly high, considering we had effectively almost 2 weeks worth of free food on the cruise ship. We didn't get off the ship during that entire window. So all of our food was eaten on the
We
ship.
did get off the ship and for some of the window. It wasn't the whole window. We were sick for a chunk of it,
Okay.
and but in the beginning, we weren't sick at the beginning of
But
September.
nonetheless, it's surprising how much we spent.
Yeah, it was, but yeah. And then a big reason why
Inflation.
is because we also decided to do a big splurge. So we've talked in the past about Blue Apron. It's I guess it's a meal delivery service, and they bring you all of the ingredients and you cook yourself. So the Blue Apron, we've tried at least 2 others. The only one that we've really loved and wanted to do again is Blue Apron. And so we paid $167. That was 7 4-person meals. So what we like to do is we make the meal and then we have it for leftovers, but it brings up our cooking game a lot. So when we're nomads, we do buy condiments and ingredients at the store, but we tend to have kind of the same stuff. Like we have a lot of grilled chicken with, I don't know, different seasoning spices. We might have, I don't know, broccoli, green beans, asparagus with some olive oil, salt and pepper. So nothing too exotic and too fancy. Well, the Blue Apron ups our game, heavy duty. And like they and one of them, they have preserved lemon. Even when I had a well-stocked pantry pre-nomad days, I did not have preserved lemon in the house. But they have all kinds of interesting spices and condiments, and they do give you the exact right amount. So it makes cooking just a little bit easier. You don't have any waste. So we debated, like, are we going to spend the money for this? It worked out. When we did a big reorder. So we had a little promotion for the first few meals, which was very inexpensive. But when we did the second reorder, it worked out to about $9 a person a serving. And we could cook cheaper than that. And we thought about that, but I'm like, this is the only chance we're going to get to do this until May. So let's go for it. And that was just a worth it.
It was a little splurge. Yep.
Yeah. We did love what and everyone probably already knows, has already come to this conclusion if you've been to Italy, but I said, like, okay, Italy has, I think, my favorite food in the world, and I'm just going to give that to Italy. Do you agree?
Yeah, I love Italian food. Yeah,
but it's not just love Italian food. Like Italy does food right.
They do.
Yeah, it's just oh man, they do it right. So I can't wait to go back for a longer stay to Italy, more than the one day.
Sure.
Okay, so accommodations, 300 and so number 3 accommodations, $335, or 10.4% of our budget. We have a mail service in Texas to take care of all of our mail. We pay, you'll see in our numbers, we have some money that we pay each month to our service. That's for scanning only. We do pay an annual fee to have our mailbox with them, and that is $179.
Actually, there are 2 things associated with that. There's an annual fee for the mail service. It's about $115, and then the remainder, I think, is another $50, is associated with a membership to Escapees RV Club. So you could be a member of Escapees RV Club and not have the mail service, and so there are 2 components.
Why would you want to be a member?
I have no idea. If you're RVing, I'm assuming there would be a logical answer to that. We are not. We just happen to be members for the mail service.
And we've done a video. We love Escapees RV service. I have just been called for my 2nd time to jury duty. We've nomads for January will be 3 years. I have been called twice to jury duty in that time, and just the past few weeks. So we see the jury summons and we're like, oh, like, is this going to be and we have Escapees scan it. Of course, it is a jury summons. I am called to jury duty the minute I can for my entire life. As soon as I'm eligible, I'm called. And the cool thing with Escapees is that you just you go online and there's a line that says, I am a member of Escapees RV service. You click that and you're excused from jury service, and you're just supposed to let them know when you're in town. They understand that people like us aren't around a lot. And in the past, my jury duty service, they would say, tough, you got to come. Like I'm like, well, what if I'm in Malaysia? You got to get here. You can postpone it once in my more traditional life, but then you only get 1 pass, 1 extension, and then you better be here. I'm like, well, that's a problem. So Escapees is worth its weight in gold, the $179. Forget the mail, just getting out of having to do the jury duty whenever we're in Mexico.
Yeah, and so something else so in the business of our life, one of the things that we did while we were in the States is we managed to vote, or we believe we've managed to vote in Texas. And so that was complex. There's something that might be, so we've had to fill out this form that said we're not going to be in the United States during the election, which allowed us to vote via mail. So that was something that was a little tricky, and we're still not sure if we did it all right. But in the process of filling out this form, we might be excused from jury duty because we've kind of been removed from the voter registration rolls in Texas, even though we can still vote. This form just says we're out of the country, And the fact that we're out of the country means that we can still vote, even though we're not on the rolls in an official capacity where we might be signed up for jury duty. So we still got to figure that out, but something that we're working on right now.
And we are committed to voting.
Yes.
Very committed. So, so we did a whole video about that in 2020. We, again, we're just as serious about voting this year. So, yeah, so we vote. And it's not that easy to vote, but we still vote. We also had $107, our monthly fee for our storage unit. We'll talk more about that because we visited our storage unit in October, but that is amortized over the year. Category number 4 is shopping. $263 for the month, 8%.
This is mostly me, and this is last month. I think this is the same thing. Where
you're the shopper.
I bought a lot of stuff as we were coming into the States. We had shipped a lot of stuff to Amy's parents, and so I bought a new router that was $140 that I left at Amy's parents' house so that we can VPN in. So hopefully this resolves some. We like to watch television when we're abroad. And so the television providers, if you're using a shared VPN, often they know you're on this VPN. And they're like, no, you can't watch this unless you're in the United States. Well, this router might allow us to get around that and seem more like we're in the States. So hopefully that's going to work for us. We'll see. Amy bought some clothing at Saks. We both had a $50 credit on both of our American Express Platinum cards. And so we had $100 to spend at Saks. Amy spent a little more than that, $26 on some clothing. And then I bought $34 worth of weird packing cubes. And so I'm trying to get my life a little organized. And so
how many packing cubes do you have?
A lot, like 12, I think. I really like the idea of having these packing cubes. It makes it so that my junk is at least a little organized. And so I'm a huge fan of the packing cube.
I see Chris Golick from Suitcase and a Smile, who just got down into carry-on baggage, is horrified. I get it. I look at him like, how many packing cubes can someone have?
I got a lot of stuff.
I think I have 4. They do me well, and those Tim is there's more every day. There's more packing cubes.
I have like 4 for clothes. I have 2 or 3 for electronics. I have some for office supplies. So it's way
medication stuff.
Yes, we have 3 bags, by the way, of like meds of weird stuff in my bag.
Because of all that
Amy
Mucinex.
has her own. So this is something we've got to get sorted.
Our toiletries is what we are packing heavily. And I think we'll see, because we're going to Asia after Mexico. So Mexico isn't a hard thing. People come down to Mexico. We can have it brought here. But the 4 months in Asia, we Oh, and so I needed Mucinex desperately twice over the summer. So and had not successful finding it in Europe. So we we're traveling heavily. We know it, and I guess we just have to do it and get to the point where we naturally
there you go.
Yeah,
I also
change our minds.
Category, I also bought a charger. Actually, bought 2 of these. It's a USB-C charger that's powerful enough to charge Amy's laptop. I'm going to be buying a laptop next summer, and so I have this same charger that will charge my laptop via USB-C. It also charges our other devices. So our hope is that we just have this one charger in our lives that charges everything that we have
together, simultaneously.
Well, that's right. So charge our phone and charge my iPad and charge
my watch,
whatever. And so yes, I mean to cut you off, whatever. But it was so the idea is that we have this one device that lets us charge everything. So we're moving down that path. We're just not there yet.
How dare you cut me off?
I know. Oh, we also bought, wrapping up the category, we also bought some TENS pads. We had this TENS units. So we bought a handful of other miscellaneous stuff that it's all mine.
Yeah. And both of us carry a laptop. We do a lot of online work and searching for, just the GoWithLess Facebook group and searching for our travel. We are heavy computer people. So I left behind my big giant power cord from my laptop in our storage unit in October. So it's nice because this much smaller power cord does my laptop, my phone, and my watch. And so it is nice with much fewer cords. Okay, transportation, $197, 6%, one credit card, a United credit card. So we're putting that annual fee into this category because we'll use those points and miles for airfare, that's $99. We, as Tim mentioned, we were able to use the car for in Washington, D.C. That was $59. It was a big Ford pickup truck, so definitely not a gas efficient car. But and that shows you how little we drove it, because the gas was kind of expensive with a car that takes quite a bit of gas. So $59. We were thrilled to have the car. My parents live about 30 minutes from our house sit, and it really isn't too convenient with the metro where they live. And we did need to get back for the dog, so we were able to take the car. And what's really nice, I didn't mention this at the beginning. So while we're here with this house sit near my parents, this is like such a nice way to just visit with relatives, specifically my parents, who I want to see a lot. But we're not going to sleep in their guest room for 3 weeks. So we were able to see them 8 times in over that 3 weeks. So we did a lot of social stuff, as Tim had alluded to, lots of GoWithLess social times with friends, which was great. But yeah, so we did the car. We kind of just we used to get to the doctor. We used to see my parents. And it's so nice. So we don't have to go when we're seeing my parents. It doesn't have to be like we're here for 3 days and have like all this time packed in. We can say like, oh, we're just coming home from grocery shopping and you're on the way, and let's just visit for an hour or two. That could be one of them, or just come on over for happy hour, or come on over for dinner for a few hours. And it's just such a nice way. I haven't lived near any of my parents. I have 2 sets of parents, 4 parents. I haven't lived near any of them full time since I graduated from college. So it's just really nice to have that time. So okay.
Wrapping up.
We also had the metro in Washington, D.C. and the train in Rome to get from the center of Rome. We took it to the airport very, very early in the morning. It was incredibly easy and affordable, but the Rome train station, the main, I think it's called the Termini, is a humongous train station. So we did something that I would recommend if you can do. The night before, we went and like scouted out, where is our track going to be, knowing that it is just enormous. So we knew exactly where that would be. That was really helpful when we were getting up at like 4:30 in the morning, get to the train very early for a flight. We wanted a lot of buffers, so we got to the train early, we got to the airport really early. But yeah, doing that suss out was really great.
So that was $38 between the metro and the train in Rome. So
yes. Okay. Category number 6 is our internet and phone, $64, 2%.
So this was Flexi Roam. So we bought a year's worth of, about 11 gig of data on Flexi Roam for $64 total. And that's good for, I already said this, I'm repeating myself again and again. So it's good for the whole year. So they sell like data packages, and this is good worldwide. So they'll sell the data packages. It's just good for Mexico. It's just good for Portugal, or it's worldwide. So the cool thing about this is I haven't even started the plan yet, even though I paid for it in September. So once I start it, it's good for 365 days. Our plan is that this is going to be similar to what our hopes of what Google Fi was going to deliver. When we show up in a given place, we'll be able to simply turn on our data and use a little bit of data until we find a local SIM or something that we're going to use for the longer term, or when we're in a place, or maybe when we're going to be in Bangkok for like a week. So we probably will use this as our data plan when we are in Bangkok, because we're not going to go look for a SIM to accommodate us for the week that we're there. And so this is eSIM technology. So if you've heard of this, this is just one provider. There are many. So we haven't even used it yet, so we can't speak to how good or bad or anything about how it's going to be. I think I have to turn it on while we're here in Mexico. So I'll try it out while we're here and just see how using a little bit of the data works. But we're excited to have this sort of in our toolkit, and hopefully it's going to be a good solution for us going forward for our worldwide data.
And while we were back in the States, I turned back on my Google Fi. It is painfully expensive. It's a $10 for 1 gig of data. I had $10 for 50 gig of data in Spain, and I was able to not be keeping track of my data at all. So it was very much a reality check to come back and like screech in my data use outside of the house. What did you use when we were in the States? Your Mint Mobile?
Yeah, I have a Mint Mobile plan that I pay for annually, and I think I have like 2 years prepaid because of for a variety of reasons. I have several years prepaid with Mint Mobile. Normally, even if it weren't prepaid, I'm paying like $15 a month. So the nice thing about the Mint Mobile for us is this is a constant thing that we're maybe going to have for the long term, that gives us a number that is always in the States. So if we need to do things like sometimes, 2-factor authentication, will only work with a legit line. It won't work with like Google Voice or something like that, or certainly won't work with an international number. So we don't have this on when we're abroad. However, we can turn it on and pay for, I don't know, 25 cents or 30 cents a text or something like this when we're abroad. So it does sort of fit this need that we haven't used it at all for this requirement. But if we did need to have a legit number in the United States, we always have this Mint Mobile number that's just sitting there and hanging out and ready for us to use for that sort of requirement.
And is your 1 year, it's still going? You're not pausing now.
No. You can't pause it. It's not like Google Fi where you can sort of turn it off. We paid for a year. It was, I had accrued credit. So I paid for the entire year, $180, $200, something like that. And I just take the SIM out when we're out of the States, and then when we're back in the States, I can put it back in. If we needed it here, for instance, when we're in Mexico, I could just plop the SIM back in and turn it on to get a text or something like that to the number that I know.
And that's because it's very expensive for texting and calling.
Yeah, it's not
very
expensive. It's not a cost-effective international solution. It's very cost-effective when we're in the States. Fits our needs great. It's just we're not there enough to really. I don't know that it's worth the $200 a year if it just to hold the number is effectively what it is. And then when we're there for a month or two, I do turn it on. But yeah, it's there for that.
Okay, category number 7. Oh, we didn't put up the internet, and there we go.
Oh, the internet.
You do this part.
Yes,
so category number 7 is miscellaneous, $61. Most of that is our annual cost for our safe deposit box, $50. We're going to talk more about that in October. And then we just had a little gift in $11, not even worth adding it. Okay, category number 8 is entertainment, $38, only 1%. Now, when we love movies, when we were in Guadalajara, Mexico, back in January, February, March, we saw 12 movies. Those are the only movies that we've seen in a theater during all of the COVID times, or since we've been nomads. And so there was a movie theater only 5 minutes away, an AMC. The movie ticket is $16 for a movie at the movie theater, which there's no way I'm paying $16 unless it is for something.
The AMC in Virginia, really close to our house.
5 minutes away. But AMC does something really cool. I think they only have US theaters, and it's $5 Tuesdays. You could be a free member, any movie. I don't know about the 3D or any, but any normal movie, $5 all day on Tuesdays. And so we got those $16 movies for $5, and they were really nice recliners. So we talked about how much we loved our movie situation in Guadalajara, which we did. This was like a really, really nice theater. And we saw Top Gun Maverick, and then we saw, is it The Woman King?
The Woman King.
Yeah, so it was nice to see some big screen movies. And then the balance is our streaming services. We have a lot of streaming services. I think
so we
thanks to our Amex Platinum.
Yeah, that's right. Our Amex Platinum card. But both of us get $20 a month towards selected streaming services. And so we've signed up for a lot of stuff.
We cannot even make it we just have show after show building up. Okay, category number 9, our final category is taxes. You hopefully only see anything in this category like once a year. So it's 0. And that makes our month to date a really nice $3,210 against our budget of $4,000, brings us year to date to $36,502, or 101% of our target spending. 9 months times $4,000 a month, $36,000. Even though it looks like we're in a good direction, having a whole bunch of our medical bills coming due in October, we're paying for a month in December. So even though it's like, oh, you're looking like you're seeing the finish line, I don't know.
Yeah, so usually the last quarter of our year, for whatever reason, seems to be a spendy quarter for us, and so we're not sure if this is going to come together or not. But we'll see as it happens. So we don't know. We're not committed to absolutely making this number, so we're not going to do crazy things. Only eat rice and beans while we're not going to do that. So we'll see how it turns out. But there's some chance you make it. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to open it up to Q&A. Feel free to type in your questions in the chat. So I see, so Rachel got her answer. We were in the courthouse area of Arlington, which is such a great area. Anyone who's been there would know that. We met Jacqueline and at our GoWithLess fabulous event there. Nancy asks, and I think this is probably before we mentioned it, why not do dermatology one in SNA? And here's the reason why. And we kind of did mention that, but I like the idea of continuity of care. So I've had a variety, both of us are so fair skinned that I want, like, I like going to the same doctor. So, so when I see my regular doctors who I've had for 15 years, they know my history. And even though I can tell the new doctor my history, sometimes I forget stuff. And so they know, I don't know, they have Tim disagrees with this, but
I don't wholly disagree. So I certainly see the value in having continuity of care. It's just with our lifestyle, it's really difficult. So one of the reasons we went to DC we thought maybe we'll establish a relationship here that we can have this continuity of care. We can go back and go back, but at the price point, it just doesn't make any sense. And maybe we could do an exhaustive search and find a dermatologist that's going to be reasonable. But I think what I'm leaning towards, and we talked about this years ago, I think, is like we have some healthcare hubs. This is a place where we're going to consistently go, where we might have consistent doctors here. Even though we are residents of Mexico, we don't know that we are going to be back in San Miguel on an ongoing basis. So certainly not annually. We don't necessarily see that in the cards. I think sometimes Amy might lean towards that. She loves San Miguel.
I do.
So maybe we will find in the long term someplace, maybe Portugal is a place that's higher on our radar, and maybe we find some doctors there where we can have some consistent care. But so I just I don't know how we make it work in a way that makes sense. So I see the value. I just don't see how we make it work.
And we are planned out a whole year. We've had some amazing things offered to us in terms of house sitting. And so we weren't planning to be planned out a year, but it just worked out that way. And we're really excited about it. So even though, so we kind of debate like, oh, like if we pinpoint ourselves, we don't have time for serendipity, but the things that we opted into are unbelievable. So we're not going to be like waiting for something better to come around the corner. I think that we were very happy with what did come down for us. And so, but we're not going to be repeating any places in the next year. So that makes it really hard. Like, where are we going to go? We may be in Washington, D.C. to see my parents is one idea. And that's why we saw the dermatologist there is like, okay, we're going to always be coming to see my parents. So, but it's really, really expensive.
And there certainly are things that we're sort of figuring this out as we go. So if you have an issue, you certainly need the continuity of care. But things like getting things zapped off our skin, or getting your blood work done, these are things that we're going to do that while we're here in Mexico. We were looking to do this in the States, like we were going to get our blood work done. It was going to be $300 or $400 or $500 just to have our annual blood work done. Here in Mexico, we've started looking at this in San Miguel. It's going to be less than $100, I think, to have the same kind of blood work done.
And here's what I'm wondering, and I'm curious for our YouTube audience as well to answer this question. So we had this great clinic called Salud Digna in Guadalajara. They did blood work, and we had our COVID tests done there. We had all kinds of stuff done. Tim, you can ask for whatever you want and they test it, which is really a novel idea. Yes, a novel idea. You can figure out what's happening with your body. But we don't know how to read this information. It's not the fact that it's in Spanish is the problem. It's just we're not medical professionals. So I waited to get my mammogram in the US because I didn't want to spend $500. And so I think I see a mammogram here is $25 at the clinic, but who is going to be reading the films? And also I have baseline mammograms of I want to know that I'm being taken care of. Okay. So when I get like a mammogram done at a clinic, is there a radiologist that reads that? So I will be investigating that. We just got here a few days ago. We're still getting settled in. Oh, here's someone, Nancy, doing 35 labs in Ajiic this week for about $47. We've seen that too, but what do you do with the information? Do you bring that into a doctor? Do you just look at the results and self-figure out what is good and what is, I understand like my cholesterol, I get that, but other stuff that might be, I don't know, like a doctor should yeah. So Teresa, if you could type it in, that would be great. We're going to not do a video, just
when I was in the States, I did get a physical in Denver with my doctor, and it was reasonable. It was like $125, I think, for the physical. And so I told them I'm going to do blood work in Mexico. I'm going to share that with them in the States. And then my assumption is, and we'll see, they may charge me for this, but my assumption is this is built into the price of the physical. that they will give me a readout on what the results look like and their thoughts about what the blood looks like. So
here are the things that I'm looking to get done here. Our dentists, just cleanings. We now that we've had our dermatology exams, we do want some things frozen off. And the thing that's precancerous, the treatment for that is to get it frozen off with liquid nitrogen. Also very expensive in Washington, D.C., not as expensive here. So I'm trying to make an appointment now. So we have the mammogram, the dermatologist, the dentist, and a general doctor. And Tim saw this general doctor back in November of last year. He told us that he was excellent. So he was very confident. And so we will see. I'm debating. I don't know what a general doctor exam looks like here. And so I'm open to doing that in Malaysia, which is coming up for a month in January. But this, I think there's two things that I think are the hardest things for us about. Three things about being nomads. Number one, being away from our friends and family. Number two, the lack of a routine. We're both like needing to like get healthier in Mexico. We are gaining weight. We're not exercising like we should. So this is our time to like, okay, we have 7 weeks in one spot. We're joining a gym tomorrow. We're cooking our food at home. Fantastic. And number three is the continuity of care. So again, if we don't want to go back every single year to the same doctors and maybe pay a pretty penny in the US or find these doctors. I've had these doctors for 15 years in the States. While they are very expensive, I do know them. And so to start that from scratch, that's like that. I think these are the problems of being a nomad. There's many wonderful things. And that's why we continue to do it, but that's a really big deal.
Yep. And so the other thing with the sort of the blood work, or sort of, it's knowing what you, if you know exactly what you need. For instance, I asked my doctor back in Colorado to give me a list of the blood work that they're going to ask that they would normally do. So I did that. And so at least I have a list. But if you don't know what you need from an annual blood work standpoint, it's sometimes difficult to go in. Like the place we've found here in San Miguel, I think it's called Chapo or
Something like that.
Chopa. Something.
We'll talk about this for sure.
We'll definitely talk about this when we actually have it done. But they have these packages, and so some of them make some sense. And so it's like it's a common list of things that, okay, I know what A1C is, I know what the hemoglobin, the cholesterol, all these tests that you're probably familiar with. They sell these in a package, but sometimes it may be missing stuff. So it's just sort of sorting through this isn't as easy.
Vitamin D,
we don't speak the language to the level that's sort of required to sort through that. But it's not that difficult. But
what if vitamin D is a big test here, since it is Mexico and we're at altitude? Like, yeah, we don't have a problem with that vitamin D here, but it's always something that I have to be careful about. And so Nancy says that she's a former underwriter. She went to a pharmacy doctor in, I guess, I'm going to guess that's Mexico, of course, because it only costs $1.99 for the pharmacist to review their blood work. So that's a very interesting. Wow. So I'm curious, Nancy, can you let me know, was that, first of all, I'm assuming that's in Mexico, and then was the blood work done at the pharmacy, or is that a different, did you bring blood work into a pharmacy and have them read it for you? Because that is very compelling. Someone says that you need to see the Halloween movies during Halloween time. Negative. We hate horror movies.
Scary movies. Yeah.
Suspense movies, but no horror movies for us. We will be skipping that and maybe going right over to Christmas movies. Okay, so Teresa says, oh, hold on one second. I see a lot of questions coming up or comments, which is helpful.
Stop the screen.
Yep, no, I'm going to get to it. Teresa says it costs only about $35 for a doctor visit. I'd rather have surgery in Mexico than the US any day. I had a molar crack in Puebla. It cost $228 for 3 visits, including the mold to be taken and the repair. So we know, like we are not, the only problem I have is that I know my doctor. So if I had, and the cool thing with this situation, having a house sit, is that the owner here has her doctors. So I have used her dentist before. We both have been to her. We think she's excellent. As a matter of fact, many GoWithLess friends have gone to her and have had good results and situations with her. But she has a dermatologist for me. She has a mammogram place for me. So using all the expats here is how I hopefully don't have to, and maybe we do come back to San Miguel. I don't know. Just for the doctors. Chris from Suitcase and a Smile says, I got my blood work done in Panama. The doctor I saw for my well woman exam was the person who read my blood work results, interpreted the information for me. I emailed him the information. He replied to the email outlining the major things I should know. Easy peasy. Okay. I'm just looking. Oh, good. Okay. So I see I see that. Like, so like lots of comments of absolutely take care of this stuff abroad, and it's painful to have $1,000 for like a little teeny tiny spot that isn't even like that's ridiculous. And so,
I think also part of the very frustrating. So like when I say I'm angry with the dermatologist in DC, part of it is it's like when we go in and we pay cash, our expectation is we are done. It's like, I want to know what I'm going to pay you. It's like, we paid you $750. Okay, I'm done. I don't like that price point. But then when we get another bill in the mail because the pathology wasn't included in what we assume for the 2 minutes that you charge us $150, it just doesn't seem, it's just, I feel like I'm being ripped off. And so especially when things are so much more affordable around the world, it just doesn't.
And Tim, I mean, he had his bone surgery. It was something like, I don't know, $800 or $900. He got a bill for $400 or $500 over a month later, thought he was paid in full, said, I've already paid this in full. They said, oh, the first part was opening you up. The $500 is to close you up. This is insanity. Yeah. Okay, so we're with you guys. I know that people around the world are like, this is ridiculous. Okay, so I'm just reading notes. So Nancy, who I think she's in Ahi right now. Hold on.
Oh,
I'm reading that. Hold on, I'll deal with this part. Okay. She had a dentist appointment in Maine under the Medicare Advantage, which had a cleaning and the checkup covered. They quoted about $7,000 worth of work to fix the crowns. They were back in a dentist at Chapala who's going to fix the bridge he did for free, fixing a couple of crowns for way less. So Chris Golick, tons of doctors abroad are part of the medical tourism industry, so they're used to seeing new clients, taking their info by email, secure portal, working with you virtually till you're in the office. This is so reassuring. Teresa, some pharmacies in Mexico offer doctors as a benefit at no charge to the clients. Okay, this is great. Okay, and the question about the $1.99 with the pharmacy was in Nuevo Vallarta, just north of Puerto Vallarta, I think that is. There's a lab right next to the pharmacy. Somehow they're related. The labs were 800 to 100, 80 to 100. I don't know if that's, I'm guessing that's US dollars. Because really, I guess we've had some really cheap medical stuff in Mexico. So it could, if it was 80 to 100 pesos, that would be $4 to $5. And which Tim did have his gout stuff checked for $4 and medicine all included. The pharmacy doc is excellent. He spent 30 minutes with each of us talking through this stuff. Okay, so this video is going to be really helpful to my like.
And it's not always
peace of mind.
It's not always easy. So when we were in Spain, we went to look for some meds that we needed a prescription for in the States. It's like some sleeping meds. And one of the pharmacies, we checked ahead of time to see if we were going to be able to get access to this medication. The people that were house sitting for went and figured out that we could actually have the meds. They said we didn't need a prescription. Then we went to the pharmacy and they're like, oh, you need a prescription for this. And so then we went to another pharmacy and they're like, oh, you don't need a prescription. So they're very inconsistent with what you do and don't need a prescription for. It seems like around the world. Here in Mexico, it seems like you can get most things without a prescription. So that's something to be aware of.
Okay, and Chris and Steve from Eat, Walk, Learn say they had in Split, Croatia, a cleaning $20 for uppers, $20 for lowers. How funny that you would not just have the whole mouth. And our cleaning will be more expensive here, but San Miguel is a more expensive place in Mexico. And I do, Rachel asks, since we're planning out for the whole year, I'm just going to give you a little wrap up of like, we're going to finish it up here. Where are we for the whole year? Okay, so we are in San Miguel for this 7 weeks. We go to Mexico City for a week just for fun. We come back for a month to San Miguel. We fly to Bangkok okay. So
don't do all of next year.
I'm going to do all of next year.
No,
why not?
Because
totally want to do all of next year.
No.
You do it. I'm doing it. You do it. You do the spoilers. I'm doing the spoilers. So okay. So we really need to relax here because we hit the ground in Asia crazy.
This is going to make you exhausted just hearing this.
Yeah.
List.
But okay, so we are in Bangkok for a week, Kuala Lumpur for a whole month, and that's with a lot of GoWithLess friends. At least 20 friends are going to be there, which will be awesome. And then we go to Bali, 3 different weeks, 3 different properties, 3 different weeks. I think that will be kind of easy since there's just no planes or trains or anything. And so we're in Bali for 3 weeks. We go to Singapore for 8 nights. We go to 4 different cities in Vietnam for a week each for 28 days. We end up in Kyoto for Japan for 6 nights, I think it was. and then Tokyo at cherry blossom season. We hop on a cruise to from Tokyo to Seattle via Alaska. We have a 2-month house sit in Sonoma, California. We go up to see a friend in Vancouver. I've never been to Canada. I'll celebrate a birthday there. And she has said I could invite GoWithLess people to her house for my birthday. So hopefully some are there. And then we go, hopefully we're going to see my parents sometime in there. So we're trying to get my parents to come see us while we're in the US. So there's this little like 2-week window. We don't know where we're going, but then we go to Porto for 2 months for a bird sit. And that brings us to the middle of October, and we're already looking. I think that I'm looking hard. Turkey is at the top of my list. I just want to try to get in our sweet weather spot. So we're thinking of once our Porto sit is done, I'm already looking forward to here. So maybe to start in Istanbul and make our way down through warmer parts of Turkey as the winter starts coming. So
I warned you.
I know, but it's so exciting. And so, so you asked, and there's our plans. It's just exciting to make plans, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you have it. So we appreciate you for sticking around with us and spending your Sunday with us. I see so many familiar faces. So thanks for being with us, guys. Hasta luego.
Thanks for watching.